Kia ora. My name is Bill McNaught. I'm the National Librarian of New Zealand. Where will the National Library be in 100 years' time is the question I've been asked. Well, whatever the technological changes, I think our fundamental purpose of supporting the economic and cultural life of New Zealand by connecting people to knowledge and ideas, I think that will always be relevant for New Zealand. Working in collaboration with other libraries across the country, we help New Zealanders to turn knowledge into value. And whatever the technology in 100 years' time, I'm pretty confident that we'll still be in that business. We asked a lot of people at the LIANZA conference last year for the 100th centenary of LIANZA what they thought the future would hold. Some of the videos that follow are really quite funny. Some of them are very thought-provoking. And when you look at them all together, it gives you a good snapshot of what people in the library profession in New Zealand think the future will hold. Enjoy these videos. Kia ora.
Hi, I'm Rob, I'm from the National Library, and we're just asking people about themselves and also to tell us what libraries are going to be like in 100 years and about librarianship. So do you have any thoughts?
Sure, well I'm Janet Upton, I'm the Manager Knowledge Leadership at Land Information New Zealand. I don't work in a traditional library now,
Okay.
And I think my experience is probably going to be mirrored out throughout the profession in the next 100 years. Whether we stick with the term libraries, I'm not sure. It's a good brand name, but it does tend to come from the Latin word for book, which with the electronic information is probably not going to be where we are going to be in the future. I see libraries as developing into places where the wealth of information and knowledge is available for people, plus the help to help people access, find that information in what is a world that is exploding with information overload. So accessing traditional books, but also online databases, archival material in whatever formats, voice, audio, video, the future. So, but for me it's still going to be very much about information and really turning information into knowledge that people, human beings, can use to grow and develop.
And will the librarians therefore be the people who handle that and facilitate people?
I think they will be mediators, but where people may, of course, today can go onto Google and find whatever they want, supposedly, but it may not be what they want, it may not be reputable. It might just take a lot of damn hard work to find that, and they want somebody who can help them either with personal face-to-face help or online mediation. Hey, you didn't find this, can we help you with this? Have we got the metadata behind things? They make it really easy for you to find what you're looking for using the terms that you use, whether it's English, Maori, slang, in Queen's English, whatever.
Doug Jackson, I'm retired.
And where do you think libraries will look, or what do you think they'll be like in 100 years?
I don't think they'll still be there. It will all be online and automated. Our grandchildren will all be at home reading their books online.
I don't know what libraries will be like.
I haven't even thought about 100 years.
No, I think it's hard enough to think about 10 years.
Hi, my name's Alison Dobie. I'm the Manager of Libraries and Information for the Auckland Council, the new super city. And I think that in 100 years' time, libraries will be just as meaningful to our community as they are now because of the value that individuals see that they derive, particularly for their children, and throughout their lives they want that same experience of love of reading, community connection for their kids.
I think libraries will still be people places, but it's hard to understand what our product or content will be, or how will be delivered.
I'm Paul Sutherland, Christchurch City Libraries. I think in 100 years' time, hopefully librarians will have gotten over their obsession with books and will be more understanding that they're a memory institution and that they help to build knowledge, and that books are a vehicle and more vehicles will have come along by then.
Wonderful. And what do you think? So you think the librarians hopefully have got on over that kind of obsession. What do you think their role will therefore be?
I think their role will continue to be to collect and curate and to provide intellectual access to information.
Cool. Cool. And what do you think the libraries of the future will be like? Do you think they'll be in the current form, or?
Growing up with future thinking, I would just not like to imagine past the flying car stage.
I think there'll still be books in their hard copy books.
Okay, very good. Cool. And do you have any thoughts?
A shark speech. I think there'll still be books, but I think there'll be electronic.
Yep.
Electronic stuff will have gone on way ahead, but I'm not sure in what form.
Yeah.
I'm Dan Dorner from Victoria University, the School of Information Management. 100 years is a long time to think about, but if we take try to look back 100 years to where we were and gauge things by that distance in terms of what's happened, geez, in 100 years we're going to be a totally different place from where we are now. I think buildings will still be important, and I think there'll still be public libraries as long as we don't become Americanized, and I think that's something that we have to be careful about. Americanized in the sense of things like Proposition 13 in California that did away with public funding for many public institutions. And I think libraries will still have a central role in terms of serving the public. What the systems will be like, who knows? I mean, I don't think we can foresee that far and have any conceptualization. Stephen Abram was saying yesterday that we're still in the infancy of the internet. So what kinds of systems are out there and how we're going to use them, I don't know. But I still think that libraries will have a central role in serving people. What the services will be, that's the big question, I guess. Teaching people, I think there'll still be a role in doing that, connecting people with the kinds of information that they need, and facilitating that kind of service. So the particulars of what they will be like, I don't know. People won't have to go to institutions, I don't think, but those places will still be important for those who need a place. Chris Sike said this morning that in the south of Auckland, the public library was seen as a safe place for young people to socialize. And I think the library will always have that kind of, the public library should always have that kind of role. It is a public institution. It's where people can go to and feel like they trust who they're dealing with. They're not trying to be sold anything. People are trying to give them the best advice, the best service that they can, so that they can make their own decisions. And I think that will still be the role in 100 years' time. Whether it's business people in a specialized library, researchers in a research institution, there will still be those roles. The librarians will be there to facilitate. And I still think that's what it's going to be like in 100 years. But to have any far-fetched idea of to what those systems will be like, I can't even imagine. And I won't even try to imagine.
Oh gosh. I think they'll be highly technology based, with very few books, apart from e-books and whatever comes after that. I would like to think that they'll still be very inclusive places, that they won't be taken over by the rich or the successful. I'd like to think that as a society we'd be pulling our children in. I haven't really thought about it apart from that.
That's actually a very good answer that you just gave us, so thank you.
Okay, well, kwanira morehi tōku nei ingoa, e mahi ana I te whare wānanga o Tāmaki Makaurau ara te tumu heringa. So the General Library or the library system of the University of Auckland. Ko aua no hoki I tēnei wā te tumuaki o te rōpu whakahau, so I'm also the president or tumuaki of te rōpu whakahau. 100 years time, libraries, pretty much I expect libraries to be very virtual. Everything would be, there's no walls, I suppose. You'll still have the books and stuff, libraries will still be around, they have to be around, but a lot of the information would be held virtually. If you think about that movie, what's it called? National Museum,
yep.
National Museum 2, where they've got instead of they've packed all the actual original material away and stored it at the Smithsonian, and you push a button and it gets up and it does the talking and stuff like that. I expect it to start going in that way, where they've actually got storytellers telling the stories instead of reading the book electronically, you know, so it's a bit more interactive in 100 years. And libraries probably be in space by then. Hopefully, wouldn't that be nice?
Waiting for the jet cars.
Well, I'll be book dust by then, so it doesn't matter.
Well, thank you for that. And what do you think the role of librarians will be like at that time?
Well, librarians are needed. I don't think there'll be as many of us because of the way that people are now developing and using information management. So they probably won't come and visit you. Like I said, it'll be more virtual, so they'll be doing the video phone thing, you know, ask a librarian type questions, have all the accessibility at their home or wherever they happen to be moving around the area. I remember one of the little fellas were talking about just having a microchip that you could sort of like blow on it and it would go poof and there's your screen. So that sort of thing would be happening, and that's how they'll be doing the interaction. I mean, it's already started moving that way with our kids nowadays. You know, they're all born up in the technological age. So by the time that comes around, librarians will be there looking after making sure that the building's still running to look after the original sources. But there just won't be that many of us, really.
I'm Corinne Roy. I'm a professor at University of Texas at Austin. I'm a Anishinaabe enrolled on the White Earth Reservation, Minnesota. And in the age of the internet, libraries will continue to thrive. They'll provide interesting social spaces, redesigning them to serve users' needs. And they're going to be even better down here at this side of the world than they are, unfortunately, in Austin, Texas.
Darren Russell. I work for the University of Otago and the pleasure of emceeing the centenary event of LIANZA. What do I think the libraries will be like in 100 years? I think they'll be both virtual, but there will also still remain an element of kānui ki te kānui, face to face, and the expertise still necessary for librarianship in terms of ensuring the transfer of the experience is valued for the customer. So that, I mean, that's my expectation. In a virtual realm, and the technological advancement is going to be a challenge, and the nature and extent of what that will look like will be immensely different than what we experience now, if the last 10 years is anything to go by.
Spaces for people.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a really good answer. It's coming out in a lot of people as well.
Yeah. I think it's got to be people.
Okay, I'm Brian Flaherty. I work at Auckland University Library. I'm the Associate University Librarian for Digital Services. And it's a really hard thing to do, to think about 100 years, so you need to have a few drinks first. and these were my thoughts after I had a few drinks last night about where libraries are going to be in 100 years. So first of all, I think that silence will be valued. Experience will be through avatars, that people will store and curate their lives and libraries will preserve and resurrect them. I don't know if that makes any sense, but technology will be invisible. Librarians will build imagination spaces, and I think they'll become cultural archaeologists. Anything else? Yeah, libraries I think will build histories and worlds that can be visited. And the last one I think is that poetry will be whispered from the walls.
Well, I actually think they're going to be, what's that word? Virtual.
Virtual? Virtual spaces?
You know, yeah, I'm big on the holographic librarian, mate.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
quite extreme.
Will you be the model for it?
Yeah, I'd love to be.
Awesome.
That's what I think.
Cool.
No, I think there'll be maybe just community spaces where maybe things are happening in them that aren't happening now.
Jeff Chamberlain. I'm now the Service Delivery Manager for the Central central area libraries of the new Auckland Council. You can rearrange those words if you want to. So, librarianship in 100 years, well, that's a really difficult one, isn't it? You cast your mind back 100 years and today would be unrecognisable. So I'm sure that'll be part of the picture. You know, it'll be easy to say, well, there will be no books around, but I think that'll happen in the next 20 years. So what is the development past that? I guess I'm sure people will still be reading. We did some work recently, we did some research, and we talked to library advocates and we asked them what they valued about libraries, and they said they valued professional, knowledgeable staff. So I think you could say that would still be there, the professional, knowledgeable help. They valued the ambience of the library, so that would still be there. I think basically humans are sociable and gregarious creatures, so I'm sure that we'll continue to meet and cluster together, although the computer might point against that. They liked the collections, probably a much different definition of collections, but people will still, I'm sure, want that aggregation of knowledge and the help working their way through it. The other thing that people really liked, the fourth thing, well probably not the fourth thing, but to complete the picture, was children's services. So, and I'm sure that will be really important as well.
Great. And what do you think librarianship will be like? Like actually the role of being a librarian, what do you think that will be like? Will it be much the same as it is now, or will it have changed?
Well, I guess just taking the basic element, I mean librarianship is all about helping people and connecting them with literature and knowledge and information, and with information. And I guess that's always going to be the same. I think that's always been part of librarianship from day one. The sort of people it attracts are those sort of people who are interested in that. I guess that'll carry on being like that. And the things that disrupt in, like technology or whatever, are outside that core. You know, that's kind of like wallpaper, should be anyway. So I think the principles will be the same, but I'm sure that none of us will recognise what it is. You know, if we were to come back in 100 years and walk into a library, I think we would be startled. Yeah. But I think digging into it, you'd find basically the principles are the same.
Okay, hi, I'm John Garraway. I'm from the University of Auckland Library. I'm a past president of LIANZA and former chair of the National Digital Forum. Where are libraries and librarians going to be in 100 years' time? I don't think I'll answer that question, but what I think we will still be doing is creating futures, empowering people and enriching their lives.
It won't be called a library, it won't be English, but information is never going to die. So there will be some sort of container for human thought in the future, which we may approach in a library-like fashion. But the people that work there probably won't be called librarians, even if they may happen to have something in common with what we do today. The end.
Cool, you ready? Cool.
Just whenever you're ready.
Welcome. We're just interviewing people for a video that we're going to gift to. God, I stuffed up.
Start again.
We've done like 20 of these.
Cut.
Yeah, cut.
Start again.
So we're just interviewing.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, but this is how out of date I am. I'm thinking, when's he going to take the photo? The whole time I've probably been scratching and pulling faces. I was going to hit another piece of pineapple, but I might be in the shot.